Several years ago, the Walt Disney Company acquired Nate Silver and the notorious FiveThirtyEight election data aggregating website. And one of the things that happened not long after that was to terminate the relationship with Rasmussen. The problem is, of course, that it was not to FiveThirtyEight's advantage because, as you see, Mark Mitchell, the chief pollster of Rasmussen, well, he wound up being the most accurate guy when it came to the 2024 election. Maybe Disney should have kept him around. But the fun part of that is that Mark Mitchell gets to come on our show here for the Renegade Nation and do a little bit of a victory lap and laugh. Renegade Online.
Mark Mitchell. I will toot my own horn, though. This is the best we've done in a decade. Oh, you guys were all out there mining salt. I was mining polling industry salt today because literally this cycle, both of the major polling aggregates kicked us out. Not Real Clear Politics, but Nate and the FiveThirtyEight guy.
You mean Disney? Disney bought FiveThirtyEight and Nate Silver years ago. Disney kicked you out.
Yep. And they took the left-leaning polling industry, made it even more left. And listen, if we had been in their aggregate, they might have been more accurate, but whatever. Screw them.
I'm going to get back to the super chats here in a bit. I'll grab this one real quick from JRG Projects for $20. The X factor was the, quote, nation-state vote. The communities outside of the culture wars, the Amish in Pennsylvania, the Muslims in Michigan, Orthodox Jews in New Jersey. How about New Jersey, man? 5 points difference. Good God. Yeah. And the tribes out west combined it with a pro-masculine Latino vote and black vote, too. Game over. Yeah, let's talk about some of these numbers. So, Mark, I mean, to what JRG was saying there, I mean, maybe share some thoughts on some of those comments he's made.
Let me lay out what I think the battle is. You talked about the culture war and how politics is downstream of culture. And I think what we're learning now is that conservative traditionalists, objectivists, independents, like people other than Marxists are winning the culture war right now. And you can see it playing out. Like California, are they going to commit to moving people into a state that is now R+13? A company like Disney, it's a safe red state, and it's going to keep trending that direction probably. And so what this election showed us is that across the country, everything moved 8 points to the right. But here's the trick. So in 2016, the battlegrounds were about 3 points to the right of the national popular vote. In 2020, they were about 4.5 points to the right of the national popular vote. This time out, it looks like they're 2 points to the left of the national popular vote. So what's crazy is all across the country, millions and millions of people became Republicans or sat out or never existed in the first place. And yet the battlegrounds barely shifted at all. They moved like 1.5 points to the right. So what's crazy is it almost doesn't matter how people turn out in any of the states at all. And they're all shifting to the right, but it's not impacting politics at all. To be honest with you, I mean, it should not have been that close in the battlegrounds last night based on what the national popular vote. And that was one of the things I was wrestling with the whole time because I got my state numbers, I got my national popular. They don't reconcile, but then it turns out all of this money, effort, time is sunk into electioneering and get out the vote in the swing states. But we all know what happened in Florida when they put an election task force in place. We all see how Texas went from being talked about flipped to now it's like Trump plus 12. So what I'm wondering is if Trump is smart and cracks down on election integrity issues, we might be in a situation where politically the country catches up to where the culture war is. And I really hope to see that happens because then more voters get what they want.
There has obviously been a little bit of an update since last night. There's more things on the map that have filled in. And it looks at this point that the 312 electoral votes that a lot of people were eyeballing is actually what is going to happen. But let me share the map here from Decision Desk just to kind of throw this out there. This is where it currently stands officially as far as Decision Desk is concerned. 301 for Trump. Arizona is outstanding, but at present, you've got 67% reporting. Trump is still ahead by roughly 5%. And the biggest county here, 58% in, with Pima County and then Santa Cruz, and then, of course, over here, Maricopa County is 68% in. It's flipped red. This is your opinion at where this is going at this point, Mark. To me, this seems like this is done. This is Trump's.
Yeah, before they turned off all the projections, I think New York Times had this pretty safe Republican. Yeah, I haven't gone county by county. I'm still catching up. But, I mean, the betting market has already declared this Republican. Yeah. So, 312. My number was 297 because I was a point off in Michigan, but on the other side, I was blue on Michigan. Right. So, this is like a modern landslide.
Well, but you know what? To be fair, because this is the one thing that happened that nobody expected, and it happened within a couple of days before the election. It wasn't just the early vote, right, Mark? It was the fact that all of a sudden we were told that the Muslim community was going to back Trump. And it was or just at least not endorse Kamala. And it happened. I mean, look at the Jill Stein, 2.4%. Where was the one I saw? I thought I had something up here. I think it showed the Muslim breakdown, but it was it was ridiculous. Trump way overperformed. Jill Stein was way overperforming with the Muslim population. And that, to me, was the unexpected. Nobody saw that coming until a few days before the election.
Well, she was a real hard ass on Hamas. She played to that. She probably took votes from Biden.
Yeah. And that was, I think a lot of it was the endorsement where they said, okay, well, if you don't want to vote for Trump, just at least don't vote for Kamala. So, and that's seemingly what they did. They went third party in that regard. And if you look at the variance here, I mean, it's very tight. It's about a point and a half, right? It would be even tighter, but for that shift of that demographic towards, let's say towards Trump necessarily so much as away from Kamala Harris. And it did it. So I don't know if you can, really take a punch on the chin for that one, Mark, because like I said, who would have seen that coming?
Yeah, right.
But everywhere else,
it's not very easy to pull that for sure. I'll tell you that.
No, but I mean, was there, now that we're a day removed from this, thereabout, in terms of the numbers, was there anything on this map specifically or whatever that really kind of surprised you or whatever it was?
I guess I thought Trump would outperform my state polling by more than he did. What really surprised me is, listen, I couldn't have been more accurate unless somebody had handed me the answers. I just did all my state listen, I got Trump +3 as a final call. National popular vote's at 3.3 right now. The only other pollster that put out a final call at Trump +3 is the Wall Street Journal, and I think they kind of lucked out. Atlas Intel had Trump +3 and moved all the way to Trump +1 in the end. But there's state polling. I just did this math, and it's incredible. State polling is really hard. I polled 14 states, and I averaged. Some of them I polled more than once, so I averaged that. Out of those averages, 13 out of 14 were called in the right direction, so that's 93%. Mm-hmm. I hit 11 out of 14 within the margin of error. 2 of those were massive red states like Ohio and Texas, which I underestimated how many Republicans showed up. And I think I can be forgiven for that. And then I missed Nevada. I just totally underestimated. I had Trump +1.8. It's at 5 right now. So then I calculated the average error between my average and the actual results. The average of all the states, 0.8%, less than 1%. And it's leaning Harris. So I was 1 point to the left, and Trump outperformed and swept the battlegrounds. I said it in a video a week ago. So if you take, I missed Texas big. I missed by 8 points. Really embarrassing. But if you take Texas out of there, 0.2 points is my average error.
Wow.
That's pretty I mean,
which can I give you my unprofessional, just merely hundreds of years of being an observer take on what happened in the battlegrounds? In my view, the reason the Democrats failed or Harris failed in the battleground states is because they have been in their media bubble. They're so deep in their bubble that they had really come to believe that Americans are really that stupid. And that bubble is, in other words, that you could literally lie through your teeth, call black white, call up down, because it's kind of funny about social media. On the one hand, it has destroyed whatever presumptive respect we're supposed to give to the corporate media. But on the other hand, it has allowed the virtually cost-free construction of silos. And these people are just smelling their own excrement and believing that since their own followers believe them when they say that Trump is going to execute Liz Cheney, okay, that they can actually convince bona fide undecided voters. People like undecided voters are people who say, I'm not a party voter. I have to make a decision, meaning there's something going on in there. And Democrats, I think that, their consultant class has really betrayed them. Did that ring true to you, Mark?
And increasingly, people are breaking the conditioning. I think that they know they're losing grip on their voter base, and to compensate for it, they've amped up the gaslighting, and it's really become a cult. A lot of people use that word. I think it's absolutely correct. There are quasi-religious dogmas. They have catechisms. They have to say those things, and then they ostracize people that don't agree with them, and they can't have their realities challenged. And it's a decreasing proportion of the population. And I don't think it is by far all of the Democrats at all, but it's the core of who their message gets crafted towards. And I think the status quo in DC has a hand in crafting that message, which I think is disgusting, but I think it's objectively correct. And most of Americans agree with that. And so I think they're desperate to stay in control. I think they have no problem doing this to Americans. And I think now this is the proof. Since Elon bought Twitter, since there were more independent election streams last night, I mean, people didn't even really care when somebody called the states at all. Like, it was like, I was looking at poly markets. I didn't care what decision desks said. And so they've lost their relevance, in my opinion. Donald Trump's down there dancing in Mar-a-Lago, and there's still MSNBC who waited another 6 hours to call the Electoral College for him. So they're done, and they know it. And I guess they have a choice to make, and it really will have an impact on the future of this country. Do they continue accelerationism? And listen, there are a lot of Republicans that would be happily undermining Trump and work with the Democrats on this, or there could be olive branches and bipartisan stuff, but they would need to de-escalate. And I guess the fact that she conceded is a de-escalation in and of itself.
They clearly got the messaging. They made an executive decision. She conceded, Biden conceded, and the president himself, Obama, conceded.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Wow.
Well, there was a statement that he released on X. I saw it posted shortly before, about an hour before we started here on the show. But Mark, real quick, to your point, the issue of, yes, there, and I said this last night when I did my pre-poll closing stream. I went for about an hour, then we sent the chat over to Ron's channel. One of the things that I stated on there was, whatever happens tonight, 2024 is the year the legacy media dies in terms of it being where America goes to watch election results. Well, no, but I mean, you look at the amount of people watching on YouTube, on Rumble, on Locals, on these other, I mean, the numbers were just off the scale. I seriously doubt, and here's they were probably at least competitive, if not cumulatively probably beat the traditional, the ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, right? The old the old guard, if it were, plus all their affiliated cable networks. I think a lot of that has changed because, again, people get frustrated when it's like, This morning I get up and Fox News still hadn't called Alaska. I'm like, dude, just flush yourselves down the toilet because that's where you belong. I so
called
tired
Alaska.
of this.
I said it was the northern part, sort of to the left of Canada. That's what I called.
You're closer to Alaska than anybody at Fox News.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.